Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
Hey y'all, what's up? Sorry, I know I took forever. Couldn't y'all hear me because I've just got my regular speaker on. I ain't got no headphones or nothing on. But hold on, I do need to put AirPods in. Jaded, hey, I was talking about you earlier, love. Yay, there you are. I missed you. Because there's another Jaded, the Jaded empath going around. And I was like, is that my Jaded? She's like, no, we're different ones. But you both are so sweet. Aw. Hey. It was really good to see you, love. I hadn't seen you in a while. I mean, I've seen you, but like, it's been so crazy, and I like the chill chats. That's why I like little channels, because you can chat better and stuff. Cher was a little channel like this. She blew up. Now everybody hates her and they nearly wieners. Look, I got wieners beside me, liking Allie, Tammy, Ayo. I know I'm a hot freaking mess. I squirrel. I'll be late to my own funeral. I swear I will. I want to go just my usual, but like my people, the mental illness, the black guy, the narcissist. Um, he's been doing a little more on his YouTube, which I like that because you can get longer videos, than TikTok. I found him from TikTok, and he didn't really have his YouTube. Now he's starting to build it. And then Manjeet, my therapist that I used to, she has a channel with a little bit of stuff. And I adore both of them. And Lee is the only narcissist that I think, I don't know. Let me see, where's it at? Okay, that. Do y'all know if Dr. Phil strikes? Because I got a little clip from some of his, but it's not from his channel. It's called Fill in the Blanks. I don't know. It might be his channel. Yeah, I guess it is. It is his channel. But there's a little, I don't know. I got so much. See, I never have nothing together. I never have it. I'm a freaking mess. And there's this little cartoon channel that I watch, and it actually made me think of liking. People will clip that, so it made me. But it's this, they're like cartoons, and they do stuff on narcissism and stuff. It's pretty cool. Trying to. I just love Manjeet, the one that was my therapist. She went through a really rough life, and that's what got her into this. And she actually suffered narcissistic abuse. I think, like at work and her marriage, and I don't know if that's the cartoon one. I guess I watched two cartoon little channels on it, because I have a different one here. Okay, 1 second. Oh my God, hey Tiff. Hey. Aw. I'm proud of y'all. Aw. Hey Tiff. I just adore Tiff. She is the sweetest soul, I swear. There's a lot of sweet souls that I come across. There's a lot of dirty ones, but
Way before the first selfie, the ancient Greeks and Romans had a myth about someone a little too obsessed with his own image. In one telling, Narcissus was a handsome guy wandering the world in search of someone to love. After rejecting a nymph named Echo, he caught a glimpse of his own reflection in a river and fell in love with it. Unable to tear himself away, Narcissus drowned. A flower marked the spot where he died, and we call that flower the Narcissus. The myth captures the basic idea of narcissism, elevated and sometimes detrimental self-involvement. But it's not just a personality type that shows up in advice columns. It's actually a set of traits classified and studied by psychologists. The psychological definition of narcissism is an inflated, grandiose self-image. To varying degrees, narcissists think they're better looking, smarter, and more important than other people, and that they deserve special treatment. Psychologists recognize two forms of narcissism as a personality trait: grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. There's also narcissistic personality disorder, a more extreme form, which we'll return to shortly. Grandiose narcissism is the most familiar kind, characterized by extroversion, dominance, and attention-seeking. Grandiose narcissists pursue attention and power, sometimes as politicians, celebrities, or cultural leaders. Of course, not everyone who pursues these positions of power is narcissistic. Many do it for very positive reasons, like reaching their full potential or helping make people's lives better. But narcissistic individuals seek power for the status and attention that goes with it. Meanwhile, vulnerable narcissists can be quiet and reserved. They have a strong sense of entitlement, but are easily threatened or slighted. In either case, the dark side of narcissism shows up over the long term. Narcissists tend to act selfishly, so narcissistic leaders may make risky or unethical decisions, and narcissistic partners may be dishonest or unfaithful. When their rosy view of themselves is challenged, they can become resentful and aggressive. It's like a disease where the sufferers feel pretty good, but the people around them suffer. Taken to the extreme, this behavior is classified as a psychological disorder called narcissistic personality disorder. It affects 1 to 2% of the population, more commonly men. It is also a diagnosis reserved for adults. Young people, especially children, can be very self-centered, but this might just be a normal part of development. The 5th edition of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual describes several traits associated with narcissistic personality disorder. They include a grandiose view of oneself, problems with empathy, a sense of entitlement, and a need for admiration or attention. What makes these traits a true personality disorder is that they take over people's lives and cause significant problems. Imagine that instead of caring for your spouse or children, you use them as a source of attention or admiration. Or imagine that instead of seeking constructive feedback about your performance, you instead told everyone who tried to help you that they were wrong. So what causes narcissism? Twin studies show a strong genetic component, although we don't know which genes are involved. But environment matters too. Parents who put their child on a pedestal can foster grandiose narcissism, and cold, controlling parents can contribute to vulnerable narcissism. Narcissism also seems to be higher in cultures that value individuality and self-promotion. In the United States, for example, narcissism as a personality trait has been rising since the 1970s, when the communal focus of the 60s gave way to the self-esteem movement and a rise in materialism. More recently, social media has multiplied the possibilities for self-promotion. Though it's worth noting that there's no clear evidence that social media causes narcissism. Rather, it provides narcissists a means to seek social status and attention. So can narcissists improve on those negative traits? Yes. Anything that promotes honest reflection on their own behavior and caring for others, like psychotherapy or practicing compassion towards others, can be helpful. The difficulty is, it can be challenging for people with narcissistic personality disorder to keep working at self-betterment. For a narcissist, self-reflection is hard from an unflattering angle.
Hi, I'm Manjit Kaur and I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery therapist. Today, I'm going to talk about what is narcissistic personality disorder and give you possible causes of what leads to the disorder. Narcissism is a complex disorder and it is confusing to get your head around how someone can treat you with disgust and cruelty. It's important to look at the causes of the disorder in order to wrap your head around it. In this video, I'm going to talk about what is narcissistic personality disorder and what causes it. So what is narcissistic personality disorder? Narcissism is a mental disorder in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, and they form troubled relationships with others. They have a lack of empathy, compassion, and remorse in how their behavior and actions affect others. Narcissists tend to wear a mask of extreme confidence in front of others, but behind the confidence there lies an individual with low self-esteem and confidence that will behave irrationally to any form of criticism. This is why narcissists always have drama from the troubled relationships that they form. They are always the victim and cause chaos in every relationship that they have. So what causes narcissistic personality disorder? This disorder is a product of a toxic environment, often a narcissistic parent, early childhood trauma, insensitive parenting, overpraising and excessive pampering, putting the child up on a pedestal with no consequences so they become attention seeking in life and spoil rotten. Other times, when a parent focuses intensely on a particular talent or the physical appearance of their child as a result of their own self esteem issues. There are times when the parent is unpredictable or negligent in care, gives excessive criticism or abuse in the form of emotional, mental, verbal, physical, or sexual. Other times when a parent sets extremely high expectations. Other possible factors that can lead to narcissism include abnormalities in the genes that affect the connection between the brain and behavior. Genetics may have an impact, but the child must be raised in a dysfunctional home for it to be developed. In a 2014 study involving 304 pairs of twins, researchers found that some NPD traits were hereditary and were able to be passed on through genetics. They found that grandiosity was 23% hereditable and entitlement was 35%. Older research suggests narcissism is more hereditary than other cluster B disorders. Other possible causes can be the child being oversensitive due to abuse from the parent. As a result of this dysfunctional environment, the child's true self image and ego has been bruised, battered, and destroyed, so they end up hating themselves. As a defense mechanism, they create a new false ego to replace the real ego. This false ego persona is grandiose, can do no wrong, and has to be perfect. The false ego needs constant validation in the form of attention, also known as supply. This supply can be positive, where they thrive on adoration, affection, love, or it can be negative in the form of your anger, rage, or sorrow. They will take it equally. They need this constant validation in order to suppress the real ego. One person is never enough to get supply from. They almost always have more than one source of supply. Where you fit in the supply chain is never known. You could be primary, secondary, third, fourth, or even fifth in the supply chain. Other sources of supply can come from another romantic relationship, a co-worker, friends, family member, their children, and even pets. Narcissists lack empathy and compassion and remorse, and they do not truly know how to love. They cannot feel love, and they can really not love no one, not even their own children, unless they serve a purpose in their lives or give supply. Narcissists will essentially build you up to tear you down. They want to take credit for their existence. They will take abuse, get you to become unhinged, and then with that narcissistic spark, they will feel amazing by breaking you down. You have traits that they are not able to acquire, so they will take things from you, mainly the core of who you are. They admire you deep down and will want to be you. They mirror you and take your identity. They slowly erode who you are. They get off on tearing you down so they can take credit for your existence. It makes them feel good, powerful. They have no conscience, but they do know the difference between what is right and what is wrong. Hence why in the public eye, they are perfect, but behind closed doors, they are monsters. Narcissists wear a mask. It is a false mask, an illusion. It is not real. Once you see the mask slip off, you cannot unsee it. Anyone dealing with this form of abuse needs to understand that narcissists do not change. They only change masks and victims. If you want to know whether you are dealing with a narcissist, watch my other video on the 9 traits of a narcissist. The person you are with has 5 or more of those traits. You are likely dealing with a narcissist. Narcissistic personality disorder is a complex mental health condition that is not always easy to diagnose. Remember, they have to want to accept their faults for them to accept help and to get a diagnosis. Most will not. The real statistics of narcissism are not known. It can also be tricky to narrow down exactly what causes narcissistic personality disorder or predict who's likely to experience it, because there are so many factors. There is so much research and there continues to be more. My years of work in the area suggest that the main likely cause of NPD is being raised in a toxic home environment. I hope you found this video helpful. If you would like to know more about what I do, visit my website. Details are below. You might also want to get a copy of my book, Survival Guide for Toxic Narcissistic Relationships, on Amazon. Don't forget to like and share my video. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments. Thank you for watching. A narcissist will do things and say things to make you angry. They use tactics like gaslighting, projection, guilt tripping, constant lies to make you crazy. With the ongoing tactics of manipulation, you are likely to develop reactive abuse. This is when you show your anger and frustration with fits of rage and even lashing out at your abuser. They will laugh at you and mock you. This further makes you angry and you lash out even more. Your reaction is a source of supply. They love to see you this way so they can tell people how crazy you are. They strive on supply, whether it be through you praising them and doting on them, or them simply enraging you. Your reactive abuse could get you into trouble. They will not hesitate to call the police on you and tell them they are a victim of domestic violence. Grey rock and stop reacting because you are giving them what they want. Supply and reaction. Lastly, get yourself out because a narcissist does not change. You are wasting your time and energy. Domestic violence does not always start straight away. It will start off with a relationship moving at a fast pace with a lot of attention and love bombing. You will think you've hit the jackpot. Slowly you will be isolated from loved ones, so you only have your abuser to rely on. You may even be convinced to give up work or move miles away where you have no one. You will then begin to notice unpredictable behavior of jealousy, blaming, possessiveness, criticizing, and monitoring your every move. Your abuser will make your life unbearable, and as you work even harder to make the relationship work, you will then begin to notice the odd shove here and there. You become shocked and take all the blame. Your abuser is testing your boundaries at every step, from the odd shove here and there. This will turn into more extreme violence. If you're going through this, please get support and work on a safe exit plan. No one deserves to be abused. There are more women than men that go through
Lee Hammock, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist known as mental illness, and welcome to another episode of A Narcissist Explains. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how I live my life and continue to go to therapy, even though that there's no cure for narcissism.
Okay, now this is the guy I talk about. That is he knows that he has, hold on, let me get a drink. He knows he has narcissism. And like, he's amazing. I adore him. And his name is Lee Hammock. He has a big following on TikTok, and then here too, I guess. He's growing his channel. He's amazing. If you want to know like the real, because he puts it out there. He's very truthful. And you can tell, you know, there's this one guy on TikTok. He claims he's cured from narcissism. There's no cure. And it's a mess. He's going to get people hurt. But this dude here, he's legit. Check him out. Mental Illness on TikTok. And I guess all of his socials is that. But he's great. And he talks fast normally. So it's, when I speed him up some, he really talks fast. So bear with me, please. But he lets people share his videos. So, yeah, don't grow his channel. No, he's good. Liking. He helped me grow my channel. I'll help him, you know. No.
Narcissistic personality disorder. Why do I continue going to therapy? Like they used to do to men, like. What is going on, beautiful people? I am Lee Hammock, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist known as mental illness, and welcome to another episode of A Narcissist Explains. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how I live my life and continue to go to therapy, even though that there's no cure for narcissistic personality disorder. Why do I continue going to therapy? Like they used to do to men, like and subscribe for more. So this person is asking me, why do I stay in therapy for narcissistic personality disorder, even though I don't believe I can be cured? And yes, I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. I've been in therapy for 5 years, y'all. No, I don't believe narcissistic personality disorder can be cured. I will always be a narcissist. But myself, I personally don't have a problem with that because I don't believe I'm a bad person. And I lead with my actions to show people that I'm not a bad person. Although NPD can't be cured, I can manage it. I can work on managing it and alter my behaviors so I can live a better life. Because if I stop going to therapy, if I say something like, well, I can't be cured, so I'm gonna just stop going, I will ruin my life and the lives of others around me. I will self-destruct all of my relationships. I will just give into the chaotic thoughts in my mind and things like that. Therapy kind of helps me put up a buffer, put up a barrier between myself and the chaotic narcissistic side of me. Therapy provides that outlet or that healthy vent that I have that I need to live a healthy, better life, healthier. So welcome back, y'all. So if you could read the text on the screen, it says, what is the point of continuing therapy if you know, and if you know, like, it can't be cured? Like, yeah, first of all, I keep telling this to people all the time, and I get pushback all the time. Like, a lot of people took that question as that person being disrespectful to me, but I didn't take it as disrespect. Well, I get questions like that all the time. People, like, for me, it took a while for me to get to this point right here, y'all. But I don't always see, I don't see narcissistic personality disorder as a bad thing anymore. I look, and this is, believe it is a bad thing. It makes people do evil stuff. I'm just telling y'all how I have to see it for myself to live my life to the fullest extent possible and not fall into some kind of crippling depression because I can't be cured or fixed or whatever. I'm good with who I am. You know, I am. I'm not a bad person. If I help thousands of people. If you figure out, like, Lee, you're a bad person. Okay, cool. I got you. But I do help thousands of people. I'm fine with who I am. I have to be self-awareness and self-acceptance on this journey are some of the most impactful things for me. I'm cool with who I am. Other people have a problem with me for something I can't control having narcissistic personality disorder, y'all. I can't control the circumstances that created me as a narcissist. I can't control that. What I can learn to control is how I view myself, how I accept myself, and how I treat other people. The treating the other people part is the hardest thing, honestly. But I work on it. I'm good with who I am. You either have to, I accept me, so you either have to accept me or you just have to deal with me. And that right there, that sentiment, what I just said, is how a lot of other narcissists and toxic people think as well, y'all. They are good with who they are. Even some of the self-aware ones, self-aware narcissists, self-aware other people, self-aware ASPD, self-aware BPD. They are good with who they are. They have accepted themselves. It's you that have to deal with them. It's you that have to fall in line with their behaviors if you want to be with them. It's you that have to alter yourself and accept yourself in this lower role, or this new role that you have acquired by being one of the narcissistic robot reset team. First time in 2023. Reboot it. You have to either get comfortable accepting this role in being with a narcissist, or you have to leave them. Yeah, I'm just telling you, that's how it goes, or you have to set your boundaries and things like that. There a lot of narcissists, not just myself, not just Ben Taylor, not just Close to Be Milkshake, not just the Nameless Narcissist, not just the girl Spirit Narc. Those are a few other several narcissists, y'all can check them out. Not just those people right there. It's other self-aware narcissists out here that are cool with who they are. I've been in self-aware narcissist groups for, this will be year 6, right? This will be my 2000. Yeah, this is year 6.
Like, and I just know enough about the disease or illness or whatever to know that he's being honest. He is. I followed this guy for 2 years now, I think. And I've attended him and the lady Manjeet, the lady from the UK that I just showed, the therapist, her and some other therapists have joined with him and done webinars and stuff. Like, you go through this link to get to a webinar. I've attended quite a few of those with him and other. I just know that he's being honest. He's not whatever, trying to look. He's being honest. And I just followed him long enough. That's how I know. And I have lived with a narcissist for the past 5 years. And yeah.
Year 6 right here. I joined them in February, March of 2020 or 2017. This will be my 6th year in those groups. There's a lot of people in those groups that are okay with who they are, y'all. They come in there from fake pages and brag on the stuff that they do to people. Yeah, I cheated on my girlfriend and convinced her to take me back. Impasser did. I'm like, I'm just telling you, some people, they are okay with who they are, y'all. I'm cool. I've never wanted to be cured anyway. I mean, I don't know, that's a lie. It's not a lie. It's going to end up sounding like a lie. But when I first found out about narcissistic personality disorder, yes, I did Google to see if there was a cure. But the second that I saw that there was no cure, I stopped searching for a cure. I was like, let me learn how to manage it. So that's what I mean. Yeah, I know what I mean. But that's how it goes though. You deal with narcissistic people. Like I just tell people, this is how I see the world. This is how I view the world. This is how I think. This is how I act. And some people don't, they don't receive it well. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, Lee, you do know what can cure you, right? God can cure you. Go seek Jesus. Jesus can cure you. I'm like, come on, y'all. Y'all know I believe in God. I read the Bible. I pray. I try to pray every single night. You know what I mean? God, what if God gave this to me to be his strongest soldier with narcissistic personality disorder? I know it sounds delusional, but sometimes that's how I have to talk to myself, y'all, to live again, to help accept who I am. I have to talk to myself to make it seem like this is not a bad thing. God didn't curse you; He gifted you. Because who else can have this personality disorder and do what I've done with it? You know what I mean? To the level I've done it at. Who else can do it to this level, y'all? What other self-aware narcissists are doing it to this level? Sam Vagner, great, doing a great job. HG Tudor, great job. I forgot about this too earlier. They're doing a great job. Ben Taylor, good job. You mean, but who else does it like me? This is not me being braggadocious. Name somebody just like, well, they can just step into your role right now and make people laugh through the humor. Nobody can do that, y'all. I'm just telling you. This is me. So I'm cool with who I am.
Okay, I am going to say, I think he gets a high out of having these big platforms. I do agree with you to a point on that. I know he's telling the truth and stuff, but you can tell sometimes that he likes the attention from having these platforms, which that comes from narcissism, in his situation. There could be other people that likes attention from platforms that's not narcs, but I'm just saying in his situation, I know that he enjoys having, hold on, let me see here. Uno momento, hold on. Okay, on TikTok, he has 1.6 million. Let's see what he's got here. He's got 259K, so. But, with that many people, it's going to his head and feeding that ego that narcs have. He's, you know what I'm saying? And I bet that's kind of hard for him too. I wonder if he brings that up in therapy. That's something I should ask him about. If it affects his ego having that big of platforms, and because it does. Tammy, because I was abused by one, and I want to put awareness out there. I want people to understand narcissism. Narcissism gets thrown around a lot when people's not a narc, and I don't know. Maybe my story can help someone leave a relationship that they didn't think they could ever leave. You never know. And one day I'm going to tell my story, and yeah, and after you see it, and you get past the, and fascination about it, and you're like, oh my God, once you it hits you in the face and you say, oh my God, this is real and it's an action, just like BPD, they can't help it. I always say that BPD is kind of like the happy side of narcissism, because people with BPD can't help it either. I know a little bit about that. You know what I mean? And BPD, you can't help it, but they try. They have a little more empathy, people with BPD do, than a narcissist. They're very similar, very, very similar. Narcissists and BPD, they get misdiagnosed a lot on that. Yeah, and and I've been fascinated with it ever since I've actually got the reality slap in my face of what was going on. You know what I mean? And I've called my exes narcissists when I shouldn't have now, and I realized that they wasn't narcissists. They were just assholes, and it gets thrown around too much, and people aren't that. And Kind of like in the Idaho 4 case, they're saying Brian Koberger was a narcissist. I don't see it. I don't get that vibe from him. I don't know. I don't know him, but I don't get that vibe from him that he was, because I don't know. I don't know enough about him. Oh, it's okay, Tammy Yo. Yes, it is. Very much. And that's like Michelle Sabet, you know. I used to drag her and, you know, clown her and stuff. And then she told that she had BPD one day. And I was like, oh, shit, it makes sense, you know. And because I know another girl that has it, and I didn't know what it was until, you know, and she told us and made awareness like this. It does, Tammy, because you get that trauma bond, you know, and people don't understand trauma bonds either. And that's a big issue. But I do adore him. And I don't know. I'm curious about if all this fame goes to his head and makes him. Now you got me curious. Like, I'm going to ask him. Maybe you can get him on your channel. You do a narcissistic thing and like a man-to-man talk, because it's usually women. There's another self-aware narcissist that Lee here is friends with, some white dude from TikTok. I don't know. He don't pique my interest like Lee does, but here we go. Well, I'm going to finish this.
Who I am, y'all. I'm one of. I'm one of. I'm not one of many. I'm one of few. That's what I tell people, y'all. I'm good with who I am. What do I do because I can't be cured? I'm fine not being cured, y'all. And I tell people this to people as well. Self-awareness, self-acceptance is not just for narcissists or toxic people, y'all. It's also for the people that are dealing with narcissists. Understand what your role is in this relationship, y'all. Because this is what I hear, and this I'm gonna start harping on more this year right here, is that so many people I know the trauma bond exists, y'all. I have to look. I understand the trauma bond exists. I have the Trauma Bond Recovery Journal right here. I help people try to break the trauma bond. This is on Amazon, y'all. Trauma Bond Recovery Journal. I have that right there. But I see a lot of people you keep going back into these toxic relationships and you keep blaming the narcissistic person for treating you horribly. They're going to I've told you, they are good with who they are. You have to either accept them or move on. I'm just telling you, I know it's hard. I know it's more complicated than that. I'm just telling you in a simplistic form that they are good with who they are. That's why they don't change who they are. That's why they don't change their behaviors. That's why they don't change how they treat you, because you keep coming back to them and they think you are tolerant of their behaviors. Why would they change something that you're tolerating? And if you don't tolerate it no more, they'll dip. They'll dip or you'll dip. You see what I'm saying? You have to empower yourself. What role are you playing in this dynamic? Because if you remove yourself from this relationship dynamic, does the abuse continue? Sometimes, yeah, it can post-separation abuse is real, but does the same level of abuse, toxic traits continue in your life if you can successfully get away from this person? Ask yourself that question right there, y'all. Accountability sucks, hurts. But anyways, y'all, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Narcissist Explains in 2023. I'm truly grateful for how far we've come. This year is going to be an amazing year. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe for more. And as always, Mental Healness is out. Peace.
Domestic violence does not always start straight away. It will start off with the relationship moving at a fast pace with a lot of attention and love bombing. You will think you've hit the jackpot. Slowly you will be isolated from loved ones, so you only have your abuser to rely on. You may even be convinced to give up work or move miles away where you have no one. You will then begin to notice some predictable behavior of jealousy, blaming, possessiveness, criticizing, and monitoring your every move. Your abuser will make your life unbearable, and as you work even harder to make the relationship,
you never know, Lycan. You never know.
And take all the blame. Your abuser is testing your boundaries at every step, from the odd shove here and there. This will turn into more extreme violence. If you're going through this, please get support and work on a safe exit plan. No one deserves to be abused. There are more women than men that go through domestic abuse. However, there are lots of men that also go through this. It's harder to believe, but men do go through this. It is not just a woman's issue. I see many men in my clinic. Domestic abuse against men can include physical violence, emotional and psychological bullying, sexual violence or financial control, humiliation, isolation, being checked upon and insult. Anything that does not feel right is abuse, does not stop and only escalates. If you're going through this, it is okay for you to ask for help. Men who are being abused may feel ashamed or afraid of judgment by others, but it does not make a man weak or less manly if they experience abuse. Domestic abuse is always a choice by their perpetrator. Men who experience domestic abuse are not alone, and it is always okay to ask for help. If you're going through this, please reach out and get the right help. You do not deserve to suffer in silence. Rape or indecent assault can happen in any relationship.
The signature characteristics of many personality disorders can be quite unpleasant, such as the case of narcissistic personality disorder. Interacting with an NPD sufferer can be confusing, frustrating, and even hurtful. The NPD individual will often overlook or ignore many of these traits that make them unlikable. Here are 9 signs which may be a result of narcissism. 1. Instead of listening, they're wrapped up in their own opinion. Ever felt looked down upon or ignored, even though that person was in no position to do so? You might have encountered a sign of narcissism. Their perception leads them to believe what you have to say isn't important, so they blank it out. Rather than actively listening and integrating in discussions, they treat all conversations as a platform to present their ideas only, which they think are the only ideas worth listening to. 2. They tend to cheat in relationships. Narcissists feel they're treasures that are too good for anyone. Bring this attitude into a relationship, and you have lightning waiting to strike. Cheating is often a way for narcissists to build their ego. Author Caterina Valentini at Psychology Today says that narcissists are incapable of forming any kind of normal relationship and will wreak havoc in partners' lives. Betraying someone and leaving them in great grief gives a narcissist a rush of power. 3. They constantly need to be admired. If you've seen a narcissist, maybe you've seen that they almost swagger, oozing conceit and arrogance with every breath. They may look like they possess tremendous confidence, but it's not enough. They need constant admiration. The delusion of always being entitled to admiration is why people around them often find themselves emotionally drained. To them, there's no greater rush than being put on a pedestal and worshipped by their fans and followers. 4. They do not take any criticism well. Have you ever commented on something someone said and they lashed out at you? Maybe the reaction was more hostile than expected. They think they're superior to others around them and believe themselves to be infallible. They react poorly, maybe yelling, throwing a tantrum, or with another unreasonable response when they perceive what you've said might be criticism. 5. They exploit others without guilt or shame. Narcissism and empathy don't go hand in hand. Narcissists are unwilling to see the world from the perspective of others. As a result, they're able to exploit others without any feeling of remorse. They can manipulate people to fulfill their own needs without regard for the consequences that their actions may have on others. 6. They belittle others. The narcissist thinks they're the best and brightest, so seeing proof that dictates otherwise, like someone who is more talented than they are at a particular activity, is a rude shock. The response is to make sure that the person is below them, where the narcissist feels most others belong. They try to be dismissive about the other person to show that they don't really even care about them. And if that doesn't work, they resort to personal attacks. They belittle and intimidate the other person in order to assert their superiority over them. 7. They see themselves as more attractive than they really are. Despite the fact that everyone should feel attractive, there's a fine line between a healthy self image and being delusional. This line is often crossed by narcissists who believe that they are exceptionally attractive regardless of having any imperfections. The narcissist uses this perceived superior attractiveness to justify to themselves why they're too good for everyone. 8. They gaslight those who are dear to them. Have you ever noticed feeling that you can't remember anything correctly around a specific person? When you're with that person, do you feel a little like you've lost your mind? That's due to gaslighting, a tactic narcissists use in order to manipulate and gain power and control over those around them. Gaslighting is frightening because it's insidious. The manipulation is lengthy and gradual, so the victim doesn't notice it happening, like when you grow taller. The end result of the long term gradual manipulation is the devastation of the victim. It can reduce the most healthy, confident person down to being a shaking, paranoid shell. The victim no longer believes they know what's real, so they adopt the reality of the abuser, giving the narcissist full control. 9. They put some people on pedestals. Our last sign seems oddly contradictory to the other signs, but it is very logical, and here's why. Narcissists believe that they have to have perfection in everything, including people they associate with. A narcissist will often cozy up to someone higher in status, believing that their perfection will somewhat rub onto them. For example, that suck up in class who always gets the lecturer's full attention, or the brown noser at work who barely does any work but gets promotions. Do you or does anyone you know show these signs of narcissism? Tell us which sign or signs you find most helpful and why in the comments below. Don't forget to share this video with someone who might benefit from it. Click on the subscribe button for more videos on psychology and mental health.
Wondering what a narcissist is? Or perhaps you've had a personal experience with one. As Psych2Go is about objective understanding, knowledge, and change, we'll take a look at some of the whys and whats of narcissism. Simply having some narcissistic tendencies isn't sufficient for a full diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. This requires satisfying specific criteria as outlined in the DSM-5, which is essentially the psychiatric reference Bible. Although NPD presently continues to be a gray area, one thing is generally agreed upon. It starts from childhood. Initial development was likely normal, but through a pattern of abuses, probably from parents, they end up hating and rejecting themselves to the point where they have no sense of self and create a mask to substitute. Reinforcement of the mask involves lying, denying, and manipulation, seeing others as extensions of themselves rather than individuals with their own agency, able to contradict them. Let's look a little closer at this. Here are 6 narcissistic behaviors and the motives behind them. 1. Their need for attention. Many of us like being up on the stage occasionally, telling an exciting story or relating an experience, and we like that earnest attention from a captive audience. However, most of us won't shrivel up and wither away without that attention. Narcissists are different. If they don't get the attention they're trying for, their constant inner dialogue of no one's listening, no one cares, nothing you say matters, it grows and overwhelms them. This perceived rejection hijacks their logic. It's so terrible for them that they will conjure up outrageous lies or stories to get the drug they need, attention. Just like drugs, the high is short, and they'll need another fix, starting the cycle all over again. 2. Their habit of lying. Similar to their need for attention, narcissists are infamous liars. They lie about their feelings for you, they lie about their past relationships, careers, and personal wealth. Actually, they lie about virtually anything. In fact, they also lie about their childhood and upbringing, increasing the difficulty for psychologists to understand the roots of their problems. Due to their self-loathing, narcissists pretend to be someone else. They believe that if others buy the act, they, the narcissists, have succeeded in escaping from their true selves. Their view is, being honest doesn't get me what I want, but lying does. 3. Their need to manipulate others. Manipulation is commonly used by sociopaths, psychopaths, and narcissists to get what they want. Those first 3 do it due to lack of conscience. Narcissists, though, do it mostly to win an imagined battle. Narcissists are constantly on edge, having loads of anxiety, and fearing everyone who is not themselves. This is all thanks to their ingrained negative self talk. In their mind, since everyone else is obviously trying to manipulate them, the only way to overcome this is to get the jump on them by manipulating them first. 4. Guilt tripping. Nothing the narcissist does is ever wrong. Your spilled drink wasn't due to their carelessness, but due to your ignorance in placing it in their path. They hit you because you provoked them and forced them to do it. This is what narcissists want to believe, anyway. It's natural to dislike being wrong, but it happens. When we are, we usually acknowledge, learn, apologize, and move on. Not so for the narcissist. Should they make any mistakes, even the most menial or petty, they respond with a spiral into blackening negativity. They don't need evidence or facts, they only need to be right. This is because their mental dialogue starts screaming at an all-encompassing, deafening volume. Things like, you made a mistake because you are you. You are a mistake, and you don't deserve to exist. They believe the only way to silence the voice is to play pretend, bending and twisting reality to one wherein nothing is their fault, only yours or anyone else. 5. Their need to argue. Narcissists feel the compulsion to, at some point, argue with people around them, especially those they're closest to. Causing drama and creating problems is one of the few things that remotely makes them feel alive. They believe attacks from others are inevitable, so to put themselves at ease, they employ their strike first before others can get me strategy. Further, they derive reassurance that they're not worthless holograms from other people's reactions to their guilt trips, insults, and arguments. The logic is, they react because I matter to them, thus I matter in general. Did they tell you that your shirt is ugly? Well, their goal wasn't to give an opinion. It was to obtain the upset response. It's like a reward. So further responding or arguing actually increases provocation from the narcissist. It's not about you. It's about getting that reward. And 6, their need for narcissistic supply. All of the points listed in this video so far are ultimately to feed this one, narcissistic supply. It refers to the person whose presence in the narcissistic's life is necessary for narcissistic survival. Non-narcissistics generally accept both the positive and negative aspects of themselves. Negative stress is dealt with via various means, maybe exercising, talking with friends, or other such activities. The narcissist does not engage with such coping mechanisms because they can't accept both aspects. They hate themselves on such a deep, dark level, maybe for illogical or false reasons, that they require somewhere to dump all their negativity, hurt, venom, and bile. They pretend that all their negative aspects belong to the world around them, but mainly to their narcissistic supply. This person is usually their significant other, but it can be anyone close to them. Their supply serves as the source of all things the narcissist rejects about themselves, like their mistakes, shortcomings, and disappointments. This leads to both verbal and physical abuse of the supplier. Should a supplier not be present, they have to face the ugly truth that the negative aspects belong to themselves, since there is no blame bucket to dump it into. When this is the case, their feelings can be so bad that it can lead to self-harming behavior, including suicide. As can be seen, narcissists are not only immensely destructive to others, but also to themselves. Their perception of reality is so skewed by the belief that everyone around them are the ones who are cruel, deceitful, and abusive, that they simultaneously completely ignore all their own actions. Have you ever encountered anyone who displays these behaviors? Or perhaps you've observed some of them in yourself? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Psych2Go for more content. And thanks.
Okay, I pray I do not get struck for this. I may have to stop more. I don't know about Dr. Phil if he strikes. I got it sped up, and we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I'm taking one for the team. Let's take a minute to talk here. You like to argue, but not with people around you. Yeah, I don't want to sit home and argue all day with my old man. You know what I mean? And no, fuck that. Tiff, I do now. I've grown up. Hold on just a second. I used to love to argue. I'd argue with people and even my old man. And then I got into therapy and stuff after I realized he was a narcissist. I got in with Manjeet, the lady I showed, and I got in with a psychiatrist and got on medicine. And between all that, I'm actually pretty mentally good. I mean, I'm still struggling a little bit, but like when my narcissist wants to argue, I don't. I just silent, and it's just. I don't like arguing. I used to. I'm just getting too old for all that, man. Yeah, Tammy. I'm done with that, man. I want to be happy. I want somebody that's going to take the stress away, not add it, you know? I want somebody that I know whenever I get home from work or when they get home from work, that's just going to be my woo-saw, and that hug that they give you when they walk through the door and ask you how your day was. And it's just like, oh, you're just, whew, you can breathe. It's your other half. I want that one day. And it's like, damn, I'm getting too old. I'm probably never find that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay if I have to be alone one day for the rest of my life. Have my wieners and YouTube. I'd rather be alone than be treated like shit, But it's hard to get out of it after you got in it for so many years and trauma bonded and investments together, and it's hard to get out of it. People don't understand. Why don't you just leave? Just leave. Come and actually put yourself in my shoes and then tell me that. Come live with me for a month. Then tell me that. I do too, Tiff. I shut down. I do. I do that too. I used to not be able to. My medicine helps me do that. Right. If it were that easy, it's like, what the fuck? Actually, a real life friend that I've known in real life for a while, she's known what I went through and stuff, and because I have videos and videos and videos of it, and she was right by my side. And now she's like, she went off on me one day because I posted a video on TikTok for awareness. Like, I didn't show faces or nothing, and she sent me the worst fucking message, and I cried more over that than what I went through. And she's like, I can't feel sorry for you no more. I'm like, bitch, I'm not telling you to feel sorry for me. Just be there for me. No matter, just let me get through it. Just knowing I have somebody there. Yes, and I haven't talked to her since. Oh, well. I told her, I said, I'm very thankful that you don't understand why I don't just leave. And, I am thankful that she don't understand it. Because it means that she's never been hurt like that. And I'm glad she hasn't. And I wish her well. And it really sucks, It really does. We were really good friends for 10 years. And she was an addict. And I helped her through her addiction once she OD'd. And I went and got her help. It was like right in front of me. It was at work. And she always told me I saved her life, and then she wants to ditch me. And not that I'm saying, you know what I mean? It's just we've been through so much together, and then she wants to say that shit. That's true, Tiff. That's true. Because, like, she has a little girl now, and she was, like, clean through that. I know she was clean through that, and she's supposed to be. I think she's still clean. I mean, I think she is. I don't know. I hope she is. It's been a few years. Her daughter's 2 or 3 years old. But I never judged her through none of that. I stood there for her. I got her help. If somebody else had seen that, they would have called the cops and everything on her. But we got her a rescue squad. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to make a fool out of her. Yeah, I know what you mean, Tiff. I thought maybe because after I responded that I was thankful that she didn't understand it and wished her well, and I thought she would come back with I'm sorry or something. Nope, nothing. Nada, nada, nada. Let me look here. I'll tell you how long it's been. It broke my heart though. November 18th. Here's what I said. I'm truly, really, really glad you don't understand what a true trauma bond is and what it's like to live through it. Count your blessed, love. I wish you well. She said, it's so frustrating seeing you years later bitching about the same stuff. And no, actually, now it's doing awareness about it. I'm not bitching about it. Because if other people hadn't done awareness about it, I would have never figured it out. Buttercup, oh hi. I ain't seen you in forever. Yep, I'd rather be alone and oh, Buttercup, I'm sorry. It sucks. And it's like these monsters won't even let you be a woman. Like, you can't even decorate your house the way you want. You can't put stuff. Well, for me, that's how it is. And you can't do nothing. You know, it gets worse. It does. I get that, Tammy, yo. I'm the same. It gets lonely, you know. You gotta have somebody to be a friend with benefits or something, you know. But hell, everybody wants to get feelings these days and stuff. Just be a friend, you know. Hey, Squid. Hey, bro. Oh, you been listening? Thank you. Hope you're good, kiddos. There's so much I want to do with this topic, and just not just this, just mental health. And I don't know. I want to open up a domestic violence shelter for women, only women. Sorry, men. Not a big one, but that's pet friendly. You have to have a pet. There's so many women that don't leave these situations because they don't want to leave their pet, and a lot of shelters don't take pets. And you not to be rude or try to judge people or to turn them down, you know, but I don't want to have someone in there that doesn't have a pet when that's what it's for. You know, there's other shelters you can go to that don't have pets, and I don't even know how to go about it, but I've talked about it. I'm going to do that one day, even if it's just room for 5 women, you know, at least it's 5 women and 5 dogs I can play with, or cats, or, oh, Buttercup. See, it's bittersweet, isn't it, Buttercup? Because it's like, it's good to know that it really was not you. Because narcissists are so textbooked. Like, they are so predictable. It's wild, isn't it, Buttercup? It's really, really, really wild how textbook they are. Like, It's wild. Like whenever you get them caught up, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. You always bitching about something. You always got to bring up something. Thank you, Allie. That is my dream. Look, I don't know if you was around. Of course, it was last year or the year before. It was last year, I believe. Over on Sheriff's channel, after you get so many subs, like you can do fundraisers where the money goes directly to that fundraiser through YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like a legit, which I don't know. It's a fundraiser thing that YouTube does. And she done one, and she let me pick the foundation that I wanted the money to go to. And we done a pet-friendly homeless shelter. And we raised like $1,500 or something. It was amazing. Right. I would be breed restrictive just because I am terrified of pets. But look, I wanted to have like one room area or backyard, you know, and make them sign a waiver to not be around. I know it's horrible to be like that because I do know people get turned down because of the breed. I wanted to have one area just for like somebody with a pet, or I want to have something there that, you know, that people turn down with their animals, and I'm gonna have one little area, room or two for cats, and I don't know. It's just some. I know it's weird. I'm weird. I'm serious about it though. Yep, a lot of people have pets, and you don't think about that. You can't go anywhere that they don't accept pets. Hell, some of them don't even accept kids, let alone a pet. I want mine, and you can bring your kids, you can bring your dog, you can bring your bird, you can bring your cat. We will work with you. Yeah, Allie, just because I'm scared of pets, you know, if I had something in there, I don't want to be scared of something in my own little, you know what I'm saying? Not that it could be the best dog in the world, and I just don't want to put me or that dog in that position because they'll be able to sense that I'm scared. Okay, let's listen to Dr. Phil a minute. Same, Allie. Maybe I should make that a restriction because there's all kinds of places you can go with your kids, kind of. No, I don't know. I don't want. I don't know what. I don't know. Put the kids to work. You're gonna start too young, buddy. You want to live here with your little dog? No.
Deal with these people? How do you live with these people? How do you get along with these people? And how do you recognize if you actually have one of these people in your life? I recommend that you don't try and fix a narcissist. I've made stabs at that. I've made efforts at that. When I was a young lion and was going to heal the world, I'd take on whatever. It's above your pay grade. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, there are those that believe that you're not going to change a narcissist no matter what you do. And people ask me, well, why not? Can't anybody learn to change? And sure, in theory, anybody can learn to change. People ask me where these folks come from. Why does somebody turn out to be a narcissist and somebody else doesn't? And isn't it true if you kind of know that, then maybe know where to start working on them to change them? Nobody really knows where this comes from. I'll tell you what some of the primary theories are. Maybe it'll give you.
He's right. You know, there's no cure. You can't heal them. And that's a sad reality. And whenever you have that narc in your relationship and you see that, especially that you can't cure them. There's nothing you can do. It's heartbreaking.
Give you some insight to excuse yourself from feeling responsible for fixing it. People ask, is this something genetic? Is it environmental? I think the research is very ambiguous, but I think most people would agree that it's a learned behavior. Most people would agree that they come from the extremes of parenting. They either had a parent that was way overprotective and, carried the kid around on a satin pillow and made the child believe that they were entitled by turning them into spoiled brats. And I always say, we're not raising children, we're raising adults. And so whatever you do with your child, that's what you're creating as an adult. So I said the extremes of parenting. One is you've treated your child in such a way that they become a spoiled brat child, so they become a spoiled brat adult. And the other extreme of parenting, of course, is if they've been neglected or abused. And so this is a reaction of, I'm going to be so arrogant. It's kind of a get them before they get me strategy in life, where they just become so self-protective by being arrogant and haughty and entitled that nobody's ever going to do that to me again, because I'm going to put myself above everybody so I can't be hurt. I'm going to fly above the crowd where I can't be hurt. These are theories. I'm not presenting this to you as fact. I'm telling you what psychodynamicists say when they say, look at the parents if you want to understand why somebody turns out the way they do as an adult. Now, does that make it easier for you to suffer these people or not? Maybe it does. If you are not that way and you have empathy.
It really does start in their childhood, I believe, from what I've seen, a lot of it. There's other things that triggers it, makes people a narcissist or that traits or whatever come out. But a lot of it starts with how they were raised when they was little bitty and what they went through and with their parents.
Maybe understanding it gives you a little bit of staying power. But as I said before, I'm one of those people that thinks anybody can change. I'm the incurable optimist, but these are people that just don't have a good prognosis. There's some mental illness problems that have good prognosis, like phobias. Somebody has a phobia, anxiety, you can deal with that, and it's got a very good prognosis. Personality disorders don't have the best prognosis because in the individual's eyes, what they're doing is working for them. And so their belief is, why fix what ain't broke? A narcissist doesn't respond well in part because they don't see a problem. They think they're special. They think they're unique. They think they got it going on. They live in a fantasy world in which they are the top dog. They are the unique, entitled, special individual. So what is there to fix? It's the rest of you that have the problem. Catch up. Get your game together. I don't have the problem. You have the problem. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge. You all have heard me say that. A narcissist is not going to acknowledge that they have a problem. So why would they have a to-do list? And the answer is they wouldn't. They don't. They don't have a to-do list. Most personality disorders don't have a to-do list because they think what they're doing is protecting them, working for them, getting them what they want. So if you're not going to change them, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to learn to deal with them. You're going to have to learn to not allow yourself to be sucked down by these people, to not get into their ego suck hole where you just get pulled down into this dark, bottomless pit where you cannot ever do enough to make these people happy. And the first thing I want you to do is establish some boundaries and recognize it's not your job to fix them. You couldn't fix them if it was your job. And you cannot let them have the power to determine how you feel about who you are. If you give them the power to determine your self-worth in a relationship, whether it's romantic or as a family member or at work, whatever the situation, if you give them the power to determine your validation, your self-worth, I promise you, you're going to lose because they have to put you down in order for them to feel better. It's what I call leveling. They either have to build themselves up so they feel equal to or superior, or they have to shoot you down so they don't think you've got anything over on them. That's leveling. They can't be in a one-down position ever. So they always have to, in some way, keep you from having any advantage. And if you feel good about yourself, if you are at peace with yourself, if you think you're in touch with your authentic self, if you have a good sense of self-worth, a good definition of self, they can't suffer that because it gives you a sense of power and peace that they just can't endure. So they have to take that away from you. They have to tear that down. You cannot let that happen. So that's why I say you've got to set up a boundary, and you cannot take the bait and you cannot be the bait. And let me tell you what I mean by that. These people are going to say things that anybody would find offensive. They're going to violate your rights. And it's not just being assertive. Assertiveness is when someone acts in a way to protect their own rights, but they do it without stepping on anyone else's rights. Aggressiveness is when people assert their rights and they trample all over someone else's rights. That's what a narcissist does. They do it by gaslighting. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. And if you're dealing with a narcissist, get out your fire extinguisher because you're going to get gaslit. They are going to talk to you in such a way that anything that goes wrong is your fault. And anything that they do is your fault. You're going to hear phrases. I mentioned a few of them before. I didn't say that. I'm not mad. It's not that big a deal. Why are you being so sensitive? Why are you blowing this all out of proportion? What is wrong with you? And it all keeps coming back to what's wrong with you. And they're happy to answer that question. You're too sensitive. That's the gaslighting phrases you're going to hear. And if you don't have a boundary, you're going to take that bait and start questioning yourself whether or not, well, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But what do I want you to do? I want you to remember this conversation that we're having right now. I told you this was going to be a little different, that I just wanted it to be a conversation. And I want you to remember when this happens, you know what? When I was on my walk and I was listening to Dr. Phil in my earbuds, this is exactly what he was talking about.
We have to inform you that Christian did not make it. Unfortunately, the doctors did what they could.
Christian is dead.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That was on, I was going to do some stuff on female narcissism. Sorry, I have to cough. In between, when I'll be hitting my dab sometimes and I get coughing too much, I can't quit. You know, it's bad you gotta stay stoned. Yeah, I want to do a thing on female narcissism. I might get that together and plan that for tomorrow evening. Because I got a few things on like known narcissists like Courtney Clenny here and Amber Heard. But then I'm going to put, I don't know, something. Or there's a way I could not call out these creators on here, but because I don't want to start shit, you know what I mean? I might, I don't know. Call out their traits. But yeah, I'm gonna get that together for tomorrow. We're not gonna watch this. Oh, I can't quit coughing. Well, that's about it for tonight. I'm glad you did too, Buttercup. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever. Do you still go over to Queen Bee's? Or where do you go? Because I don't ever see you anymore. I can't remember where I think I used to see you at Queen's. Kaylee's. Thank gosh she's gone for now. Better knock on wood. Oh, that's Beetlejuice. No. No, this girl, me and Buttercup, no, she's young and I don't know, I feel bad for her in a way. I think she has BPD. Not narcissism, but she might. But tomorrow, Buttercup, I'm going to go over female narcissism a little bit and a little bit more about just the illness in general. I'm very passionate about it. I know people's like, you know, Tammy asked, you know, why? I don't know why. There's a lot of things I do in my life that I get passionate about that I don't know why I do it. And then one day, you're like, man, that's why I've done that. I don't know. It's weird. I get these, I don't know. I was in that abusive relationship. Well, I'm still in it pretty much, but and I seen the devil and I finally realized what was going on. I got to researching. I'm ADHD, so I get fixated on things. And this is something that like I got fixated on and I've never let go of because I want other people, men and women, to be aware of what this illness really is and how bad it can be if you're in a relationship. Or even like I'm going to go over narcissistic bosses. If you work for one, it's horrible to work for one. Aw, Tiff, you're very welcome, love. Do you have a wrench? You do now. Thank you, Tiff. I love you too. I'm really glad that I got brave, and I always knew you were good, no matter what they said about you. It's good just to be civil, ain't it, with people, even if you don't agree or you have a history or why, because it stops you from going places that you want to go. Because a lot of us share channels, with people we watch and stuff, and just be cordial with each other or something. Hell, too much madness, man. And I don't want no madness here. And trust me, I like to watch the madness, but I don't want to be no part of it. And I don't want people I care about to be no part of it. And I'm proud of you, Tiff, because I can sense you. I know you want to go hard on some MFers over there. I can feel it with you. And you've been doing good holding back, because I think, yeah, you would have snapped. Tiff does good. If they can only poke that bear, I get sometimes you got to vent and get that shit out there. And sometimes over here, we will drag a bitch. Yep, we can, and we'll do that sometimes too. I love you, Allie. I haven't experienced that, but that's pretty fucked up. And I'm sorry, Buttercup, that you went through that, or did, or I'm sorry, love. Like, was your family being nice to you, telling you to leave him? Like, and are they nice to you now still? This is interesting. See, this is stuff that I like, so we can talk and learn more about this freaking illness that's out there, Allie, I'm surprised people don't poke at me sometimes. They do sometimes, and it really sucks when people understand this pain. And even if anyone's watching in silence right now, there's, I know it's hard. I don't even know what to say. I can't give advice on something I've not even done myself, because I don't practice what I preach. It's hard. And I don't really like giving advice to people, and that's why I just do this, and put out facts and what other people would, and statistics and all that. Sorry, hold on just a second. My washer, it's winding up for a big one now. Yeah, there's sound. I was just looking up something. I'm going to share one more thing before we get out of here on narcissism. It's on covert narcissist. Has anyone ever dealt with a covert narcissist? Look, and someone having narcissistic personality disorder, you can have covert narcissism, malignant, all kinds, and financial. They can have more than one trait like that. It's crazy. I want y'all, and covert narcissism is what I experience, and it fucking sucks, y'all. You know, because nobody believes you either. It's like they don't believe you. Let's see here. Yes, Jada, I want to talk about it. Oh, I want to get brave enough to start doing videos and stuff and learn, because I really don't know how to, because my mental illness I have, you know, my mind can't. I don't know. I can't do it. Hi, Gail. Hey. Gail's like my sister, I swear. I love her. I'm sure you pissed off. I've seen some of the stuff you said. I could imagine. God. I love you. Okay, let's watch this. It's from Dr. Grande. Todd Grande. He's great.
My scientifically informed insider look at mental health topics. If you find this video to be interesting or helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Well, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can identify some of the beliefs and thoughts that are behind vulnerable narcissistic behaviors. So I'll answer this by looking at the 10 vulnerable narcissistic behaviors and the thoughts that cause them. So in a way here, I'm kind of decoding vulnerable narcissistic behavior. I did a video before where I looked at this from the perspective of narcissism, but that wasn't specifically focused on vulnerable narcissism. This video is. This question about vulnerable narcissism is getting at this idea that when people behave in a certain way, to some extent, this is driven by beliefs and thoughts. And that's actually a core principle of what we see in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Beliefs combine with stress, and this leads to thoughts, and thoughts lead to behaviors. One technique in CBT is to identify those thoughts and beliefs. This helps us change them so that behavior will change. So this exercise of decoding behaviors is a part of CBT. Most people who are not narcissistic have congruence between their thoughts and what they will do. So they tend to match. Thoughts and behaviors tend to match. People who have vulnerable narcissism tend to be deceptive, and their insight is somewhat limited. They don't always understand that they are vulnerable narcissists, but they do often understand that something is unusual with their feelings. They can tell that something's off. And this is different from what we see with grandiose narcissism. What we see, therefore, is that vulnerable narcissist thoughts are not grounded in reality. They are distorted just like their behavior is distorted from what we would expect based on social norms. So distorted thinking translates into distorted behavior. This conversion from thoughts to behavior can occur both intentionally and unintentionally, but either way, it has terrible consequences for people who are exposed to vulnerable narcissists. Now, there's a theory that says that people engage in behavior for a purpose. That purpose may be based on irrational thinking, bad information, desires the person really doesn't understand, fear, love. There are a lot of reasons for behavior. Now, some reasons, some purposes are more common with certain personality constructs. For example, if somebody's paranoid, the purpose for much of their behavior might be fear. If somebody has obsessive compulsive traits, the purpose might be a desire for order. Sometimes different personality profiles can lead to the same behavior, but for different reasons. There was a different purpose for engaging in that behavior. Vulnerable narcissism most closely aligns with cluster B personality pathology, and within cluster B, its closest relationships would be with narcissistic and borderline personality disorders. I will go through this list of 10 behaviors and list the thoughts that somebody with vulnerable narcissism might have right before they engage in that behavior or as they're engaging in that behavior. For comparison, for each of the behaviors, I'll also discuss a thought from another personality construct, for example, avoidant, dependent, or borderline, some of the traits we see associated with various personality disorders. I'm offering a conceptualization, a theory about what could be happening. What's actually happening in any particular case, of course, could be quite different. So in a sense, with these 10 examples, this is what the vulnerable narcissist would say to the victim of the behavior or to someone who's simply watching the behavior, if that vulnerable narcissist had perfect insight and they were honest. So a couple things to point out as I go through these behaviors. When I use the word thought, in this context, it could also be a belief, attitude, or expectation. And the behaviors I'll be going through could apply to a variety of scenarios involving the narcissist, like a husband and wife relationship, other family relationships, work relationships. I'll specify what scenario I'm talking about if I'm applying the example to a specific situation. So now moving to the 10 behaviors, starting with number 1, this is blame shifting, but I'm talking about a specific type of blame shifting here. So this is the type where somebody makes a criticism or provides feedback to the narcissist, and that narcissist attacks that person. So this is a little bit different, moving from vulnerable to grandiose narcissism. So picture criticism in an analogy where the criticism itself is a tennis ball, right? So the non-narcissist just catches the ball, right? So somebody makes a criticism by throwing the ball in this analogy. They throw the ball at the non-narcissist just catches it. The grandiose narcissist deflects the ball, right? So they kind of shift their body to the side, it hits them and kind of deflects away. Or like an alien from some sci-fi movie, the ball just goes right through them, right? So the grandiose narcissist doesn't really worry too much about criticism. The vulnerable narcissist hits that tennis ball right back to the person who threw it. So they just hit it back and they don't catch it first. They don't look at it. They don't examine it, right? It's just almost reflexive. So what are the thoughts with this particular type of blame shifting? Again, just looking at vulnerable narcissism. The first thought, I'm so hurt by that criticism that I can't even address this issue, but hurting you will bring me some relief. Next thought, the idea of criticism itself is offensive to me. Criticism is for people who are not perfect. The last thought here, I only value the feedback of high status people, and you don't fall into that category. So now shifting over here to look at borderline personality disorder with the same situation with blame shifting. When you criticized me, you proved that you did not love me. So now I'm going to hurt you for doing that. So we can see from this that this is actually quite similar to what we would expect with vulnerable narcissism, which underscores the similarity between these two constructs. Behavior number 2, falsely accusing somebody, then playing the victim. This one is fairly common in work scenarios. The vulnerable narcissist is in a position of power and they violate another employee's rights. When that employee complains, the vulnerable narcissist now pretends that they are the victim, right? The narcissist is the victim. So the thoughts here, I can dish it out, but I can't take it, right? Fairly direct. I never thought you would have the courage or conviction to stand up for yourself. So now I need to think of a strategy to extricate myself from responsibility for the problem that I caused. The last thought, I cannot do anything to build my own credibility or reputation, but I can discredit you. And if I do that, I've still managed to cause some damage and I can be satisfied with that outcome. So how about looking at a false accusation and then playing the victim from an antisocial personality disorder perspective? I know my false accusation will get me in trouble, but if I play the victim, I can get out of trouble. Much simpler and more straightforward. Notice that it doesn't take into account how the other person feels. It's simply a calculation. Now moving to behavior 3, this is claiming to have memory problems. And what I mean by this is another common scenario that could happen at work. The vulnerable narcissist is caught saying something they're not allowed to say, and they claim they can't remember ever saying it. So the thoughts here, rather than claiming I didn't remember, I wanted to come up with a lie that would cause more damage, but I couldn't think of one. Therefore, I'm not as good of a liar as I thought I was. So I guess everybody should have a goal, right? I'm not sure this is a good goal, but it's a goal. I have no defense for my behavior. Therefore, I am conveniently forgetting things, right? This one's fairly straightforward. I know it's simply your word against mine because no one else in this workplace will ever challenge me. So I'm not going to invest the energy to think up a good lie. Rather, I'm just going to claim to not have any memory of the event. So now looking at this same situation from the perspective of obsessive compulsive personality disorder, OCPD. I know I said something that I shouldn't, but I have other things I need to get done. And it's just easier to say, I don't remember, right? So with this one, we have this push to be productive and the person just can't get involved with all the energy it would take to come up with a good lie. Now moving to behavior number 4. This is bringing up a sore topic on purpose. Sometimes the vulnerable narcissist brings up a sensitive topic because they know that this will cause somebody to suffer. They make it seem casual. For example, in a long-term romantic relationship, the husband reminds the wife that she lost somebody close to her, perhaps a parent. So the thoughts here, I like to see people suffer without my actions being the obvious cause of that suffering, so I cannot be blamed. Next thought, you hurt my feelings the other day and I didn't address it with you. This is my revenge. And then we have, I'm feeling sad today, so I thought it was fitting that you would feel sad too, right? So this is just the misery loves company theory of vulnerable narcissism that we've seen so many times. Looking at this from a dependent personality disorder perspective, I wanted you to be reminded that you are alone and all we have is each other, right? So this keeps that dependent relationship intact. Moving to the fifth behavior. This is stealing credit for someone else's work. This is fairly common in work settings when we see vulnerable narcissism. The first thought, it makes me so mad that your work is better than mine because I'm much better than you in every way. Next thought, if I had enough time, I could have done this work myself, but because you already did it, I might as well take credit for it. This is really just a sense of entitlement. The last thought, I deserve credit for your work because without me, you would never have been able to do the work. I assigned the project to you, therefore I made it possible for you to complete it, right? So not a lot of logic here, but this is the thinking that we see. Looking at the same situation from the perspective of histrionic personality disorder, I know that I took your work, but we are such good friends, I didn't think you would mind, right? So that's something common we see with histrionic personality disorder. Now moving to sign number 6, the vulnerable narcissistic wife starts berating her husband out of nowhere, simply starting a fight for seemingly no reason. The thoughts here, seeing you suffer brings me joy, or at least takes away my pain. I think most of the time it would really be more about taking away the pain. The next thought, I'm so angry to have an ordinary person in my presence, right? So just the general annoyance that narcissists have by being around people that they think are inferior. The last thought, I have a need that you are not meeting, and I need you to recognize that need without me telling you what it is. Somehow I think that yelling at you will solve the problem, right? This is one we see from time to time. So looking at the same situation from the perspective of paranoid personality disorder, I think you're up to no good. And if we have this argument out of nowhere, you'll be caught off guard, you'll have a lot of emotions, and you'll confess to the wrongdoing that I suspect. So this one's really like kind of setting a trap. Now moving to behavior 7, a father stops talking to his daughter one day and never resumes. He just ends the relationship with no warning. The first thought, I'm not the father that I wanted to be, and it's causing me to experience shame. It's just easier not to have communication than face that shame. The second thought, I've been giving off subtle hints that I'm disappointed in you for several years, but you didn't get the hint. And the last thought, you've committed some small violation against me many years ago. I am capable of holding a grudge for a long time, and it's your fault for not knowing my nature. So this same situation now looking at dependent personality disorder. I found somebody else to provide support to me. Now moving to number 8, this is where the vulnerable narcissist flaunts how much money they make. Now, one thing interesting here is often they tend to avoid exact figures, worried that if I put out an exact figure, somebody else might put out a figure that's greater. So one of the popular ways that vulnerable narcissists express their earnings is to use the term 6 figures, which of course can range from 100,000 to just shy of $1 million, giving them a lot of flexibility as they craft their lies. The thoughts here, I'm more important than you, and I want you to know that the differences between us can be quantified. The second thought, I'm resentful that you're superior in some areas, and flaunting about money makes it seem like I'm not resentful. The last thought, I know that high status people earn a lot of money, and I want to be regarded as a high status person too. Now looking at the same behavior from the paranoid personality disorder perspective, if you choose to come after me, I want you to know that I have access to resources, right? So this is really more self-defensive in the context of paranoia. Now moving to behavior 9, the vulnerable narcissistic mother acts cold and distant in kind of a passive-aggressive way toward her son. The thoughts here, I want you to know that I'm tough enough to continue to make your life miserable as long as I want to. I will win the war of attrition. Next thought, I'm hurt that you don't appear to need me as much as you grow older. And the last thought, I don't have the depth or emotional sensitivity to communicate my needs in a more effective way. How about the situation from a borderline personality disorder perspective? I'm afraid that you plan on rejecting me, so I'm going to reject you first. And this brings me to behavior number 10. This is the last behavior. The vulnerable narcissist temporarily acts confident and domineering in a social situation. So they're acting more like a grandiose narcissist. This may be a situation where a person is watching this, not necessarily the target of the behavior. So like a supervisor who's harsh with another employee, and you're watching this interaction between them. So in a sense, the supervisor is trying to impress you. So the thoughts here, I'm as strong as a grandiose narcissist, right? So most of the time when they think this, they would probably have a specific grandiose narcissist in mind, perhaps another coworker who's extremely confident. This is in line with the theory that a vulnerable narcissist is really, in some ways, a failing grandiose narcissist. The narcissism is incomplete. The next thought, I want you to see that I have power so that you will follow me. So this is the thought if they want to recruit narcissistic agents, people who will help them conduct and get away with their bad behavior. They don't want to offend that agent directly because they want to use them, but they still want to show that they have the ability to be offensive. So this is the behavior they use. They become dominant and confident to show off. The last thought, I know that I'm weak and I'm overcompensating by trying to dominate others. So this is really looking more at the insecure side. So what about from the perspective of avoidant personality disorder? I desperately want to be able to assert myself in a way that society accepts, but I'm just not sure how to do it. So here, the point of their behavior isn't to be mean or hurtful. It's more like experimentation, and they're just not sure how to be assertive, to be socially appropriate without coming off as dominant and overconfident. So those are 10 behaviors associated with vulnerable narcissism and some of the thoughts that may be behind them. I know whenever I talk about topics like narcissism, there will be a variety of opinions. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate a really interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found this decoding of narcissistic behaviors to be interesting. Thanks for watching. Welcome to my site.
Gail, comment, see if you can get that membership that I just gifted. Or make sure you got accept gifts on. Because I gifted some memberships earlier and you wasn't here. Buttercup got it. Let's see if I can send another one. I've been giving out memberships today. I don't get to pick, so I'm sorry if I thought I'd do one more. No, don't be sorry, Buttercup. No, don't be sorry. I didn't even know you was here. I'd be cheering you both on. No, don't be sorry. Do not be sorry. I love you, Buttercup. You remember me, right? Oh, you had to get a new breathing machine? That sucks. Make sure, everybody, you hit that green where it says I gifted a membership. Hit it so it says, it'll pop up and it'll say accept gifts or something. Make sure you click that on. You have to slide it over. That way you can get gifts. Gifted memberships. Okay, one more and then I'm done. We'll chat a little bit and call it a night. One more.
Conversations with a narcissist are hard to handle at times, especially when the narcissist isn't aware of how they affect others. Most narcissists are not aware they are narcissists, but they believe this is a normal way to treat others and themselves. When most people think of narcissism, they think of someone who is aggressive, openly egotistical, and controlling. Yes, those are true, but what if they are quiet and can do all of those things at the same time? We know what you are thinking. You can't be a shy narcissist. Yes, you can. These are called covert narcissists. These narcissists are shy and can control people in more passive-aggressive ways. They are not as social and out there, not as charming and not as bold as other narcissists. They are harder to bond with and form a relationship with. So how can you tell when you've met a covert narcissist? We want to tell you all about it, so watch to the end to look for the...
Yes, Crime Stalker, Buttercup, yes.
The one thing that normal narcissists know how to do is to charm people and socialize. They are great at influencing others to be their friend or spouse, or we can call it luring them in. Covert narcissists are the opposite. Coverts have a tendency to avoid social situations. They usually don't show interest in socializing as they find it unnecessary. They can usually make friends when people come up to them and start a conversation, but they avoid making the first move. Covert narcissists also are not as charming as regular narcissists. They won't flatter strangers to get their attention, but they are mostly there to take up a space in the room. These moments of refusal to socialize are usually anxiety-provoking. Coverts usually have high anxiety and social anxiety, and this causes their social skills to shut down. They are emotionally unavailable to others, so they fear conversations because they are afraid people will see them for who they truly are. With their inability to empathize, they seek out others who appear to be like them. How does that saying go? Birds of a feather flock together? That typically describes covert narcissists. Covert narcissists will usually socialize with someone who does not have emotional baggage with them. It helps them feel more comfortable in this stressful situation. This is not saying that coverts will never socialize, which they will, but it's rare. Number 2, they get depressed frequently. It can be hard to imagine someone who has just a high standard of themselves getting depressed or sinking into a self-loathing pity party. It does happen though. Many covert narcissists have such unrealistic expectations of themselves that they can find themselves in a depressive state if the goals are not met. They fear failure, and for anyone to see that failure as well. Covert narcissists do not take confrontation too well and can become depressed if they feel like someone can see who they really are. They are scared for people to see that they do not empathize with others like normal people do. They don't want to appear weird or different. They become frustrated with themselves really easily, and they start to believe that they have it so much worse than others do. Even though they are narcissists, covert narcissists can form suicidal thoughts if they are pushed enough, or if someone picks up on who they really are. This can be tough to see in a narcissist because they like to appear as well put together as possible, but they find themselves drowning at times. Number 3, they ruin all kinds of relationships. Whether the relationship is with a friend, a colleague, an intimate partner, or family member, they have a tendency to ruin a relationship that is important to the other person. Covert narcissists have an unrealistic sense of themselves, which means they have a hard time finding someone good enough to meet their standards. Some coverts will not even attempt to find a partner, but they will find people to fill the temporary voids and needs they have, then move on to someone else. They have a difficult time connecting to others because they lack basic social skills. Their anxiety can ruin these small friendships they have, or if they do happen to find a person they really care about. The difference between covert narcissists and other forms of narcissism is that coverts will not try to pretend to care about a person to lure them in. They will just express their true feelings as is. They believe their needs are superior to others around them. They will always act with this behavior because they believe the other side of the relationship is just temporary. You will see coverts also having problems in relationships because they have difficulty praising and complimenting their partners or friends. If someone wins an award, the covert will see them as better. The covert will not want someone better than them around them, so they do not acknowledge their award. Instead, they may just tell them how to improve next time to satisfy their ego or simply ignore the situation. By the way, make sure to subscribe if you've learned something new today. Number 4, they act with passive-aggressive behavior. The thing about coverts is that they are not directly aggressive like other forms of narcissism. They are usually quieter and do not get physically or verbally aggressive. They will engage in passive-aggressive behavior. Many covert narcissists do not take the time to get to know you. They see this as a way of telling you that they do not care about you. They won't come out and directly say they are uninterested and hurt your feelings, but it gives them pleasure in knowing that you care more than they do. Another way they engage in passive-aggressive behavior is they won't stand up for people negatively talking about friends or family. They will sit back and allow the situation to happen. When questioned why they don't stick up for them, they will usually reply with phrases like, "I'm not getting involved," or "I didn't know you wanted me to say something." Things like that are some of the covert narcissists' favorite catchphrases. They will also start a fight, maybe not directly, but through manipulation tactics. On somebody else's birthday when attention isn't centered on them. This can be a normal occurrence, and when the other person confronts them, the covert narcissist will become depressed and turn their attention away from the confrontation. Another thing covert narcissists always do to be passive-aggressive is forget important events and dates on purpose. They see these dates and events that are so important to someone else as something bigger and better than them, and they do not like that. So rather than just pretending like they did not hear the person, they will acknowledge it. Then when the time gets closer to the event, they will make it a big deal that they forgot. They want the other person to feel less important and hurt. Number 5, impolite body language. Most people think of narcissists as verbally and sometimes physically aggressive when pushed enough, but that is not always the case. Covert narcissists can engage in impolite body behavior. This can tie into passive-aggressive behavior. They make gestures such as yawning when someone is telling a story about themselves when they are clearly not tired. They yawn to show their story is irrelevant to them. The other person is not important enough to stay alert for. Most people want someone to listen and look at them while they tell a story, and yawning always indicates uninterested behavior. Covert narcissists roll their eyes too when they hear something that annoys them. If they do not agree with what someone says, instead of discussing what they don't like or just moving on, they roll their eyes to indicate their true feelings. Another way coverts tell others they do not care about them is turning away and focusing on another task when someone is talking. It is usually polite to stop what you're doing and give them your full attention to show them you care and listen. Coverts will want the person to know that they could be doing something else more important than sitting and listening to someone else talk. It creates a sense of power in the conversation. It can get the other person to stop talking, so it can allow the covert narcissist to start talking about themselves. Number 6, they say these common catchphrases. Many covert narcissists say a lot of these same catchphrases. The phrases are usually small and simple, but with many meanings. Some covert narcissists' favorite catchphrases include, "Don't get upset over nothing. Don't be so sensitive. I was just joking. Calm down. You misunderstood me. I didn't hurt you. You hurt yourself." These phrases, along with others, are just some of the common ones used by covert narcissists to initiate gaslighting. These narcissists want the other person to believe they caused these emotions, not the narcissist. The victim will many times hear these catchphrases and start to believe that they may have done it to themselves. The covert narcissist will say all of this in a calm, non-angry tone, which will make the person believe they're overreacting if they get angry and loud. The coverts use these phrases commonly to upset people more than anything. They want to upset them. Their goal is to make the other person feel bad about themselves. The phrases are intended to send mixed messages and make the person think the worst of what the words mean. The covert narcissist wants you to think the worst of yourself and question everything you do. If you notice, some of the phrases focus on the person harming themselves. The covert narcissist will want to deflect the problem from them and make people believe the victim is doing it all to themselves. And the narcissist is trying to help them. In reality, the narcissist is breaking them down more and more every day. And if you like this video, then check out these other related videos to see more. And make sure to subscribe and leave a comment saying, "I subscribed," and we will personally reply to your comment.
What is going on, beautiful people? I am Lee Hammett, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist known as Mental Illness, and welcome to another episode of A Narcissist Explains. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how narcissistic people tend to show you that they love you by being with you, by physical presence. Stay tuned, like and subscribe for more. Why don't you tell me you love me anymore? Because I show you every day by being with you. Like, what do you mean? I know you show up by being with me, but you used to say it like every day. So would you rather me say it or do it? Because I'm confused. I feel like you're trying to start an argument. I'm not trying to start an argument. I'm just trying to express my feelings. Your feelings are not my responsibility. I understand that, but you make me feel like you don't care. How do I make you feel like I don't care if I'm with you? I don't have to say it every single day. It doesn't make sense. Now, I'm sorry I brought it up. I can tell you getting annoyed now. Yeah, I'm annoyed because then you question how I feel about you. Maybe you don't ruin my day. You already ruined my day. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your day by talking about my feelings. I'm sorry. Well, your apology means absolutely nothing. You shouldn't have said it. It's too late now. My day is ruined. Thanks. I guess I'll be quiet then. You know the door is always open though, right? You can't leave if you want. I don't want to leave. Okay. So welcome back, beautiful people. So a lot of people, this is one of the main questions I get on my page, y'all. Can a narcissist love you? Like, what is, why don't narcissistic people like validate your feelings and things like that? Why don't toxic people ever, they don't tell me, my partner doesn't tell me that they love me anymore. Like, what can I do? How can I change this? I want our relationship to work. Yeah. narcissistic people in the beginning of a relationship, y'all, the narcissistic person, this is my own personal belief, y'all, as a narcissist myself, y'all can, we can agree, we can disagree, y'all. I promise you, we can disagree. It's just keep it respectful. I don't disrespect anybody. Anyway, I do think the narcissistic people at the beginning of relationships can love you. I think they do. We do love you at the beginning of a relationship, and I think, do we tend to devalue you after the love bombing phase stops? Do we tend to devalue you? Yes. You know what I mean? I know y'all don't say, but love doesn't get devalued. Real love, I let y'all bear with me here. Now, narcissistic people do think they love you at the beginning of the relationship. They do. So after the flame dies down, like the love bombing Yoga fire flame dies down, that narcissistic person could very well be getting, they think like by being with you, they love you. You see in the skit, why don't you tell me you love me anymore? Like, why do you need to hear that I love you? Like, I'm here with you, aren't I? Like, we're here together. Like, cool. Of course, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't be with you. If I wasn't, I'm here, aren't I? That's what they'll tell you, y'all. Because the emotional type of love, that lovey-dovey, hugging and kissing, PDA type stuff, that wears off in most relationships, not just narcissistic ones, not just toxic relationships. That wears off in a lot of these relationship dynamics, y'all. It just does. You know what I mean? So if you're dealing with a narcissist or a toxic person, when that stuff wears off, what else are you going to do? How else are you going to handle the situation when it wears off? So that narcissist, if they're not used, because now they have you. Once they feel like they have you, they reel it in. It's just like fishing. Once that fish has you on the line, the fish bites. I mean, once that fisherman feels that bait, that line get pulled, they reel you in. That's very similar to how narcissist does. They throw that bait out there. They love bombing bait out there. They give you all the PDA. They give you all the hugs and kisses. They tell you that they love you all the time. They tell you that they love you super extremely early. Second date, I love you. What? You love me on the second date? What's my last name? I don't know. It's gonna be mine. It's gonna be mine soon. I don't know what your last name is, but it'll be mine soon. You see what I'm saying? They'll do all of that stuff. But once you take the bait and you fall in love with them, they reel you in. They pull you out the water, and now they become their true, authentic selves. You know what I mean? They don't want to get rid. Sometimes they don't want to get rid of you. They like to keep you around, and they show by physical presence. Like, we're here, aren't I? Like, when people love each other, and they take, they take that your physical presence, y'all physically being together as love. They don't have to hug and kiss you anymore. Why would they have to do that? They don't have to prove it anymore, because they already proved it. I used to do that, but now I do this. I still love you. My love for you hasn't changed. I'm just doing this now. I'm here with you. My physical presence here with you is my love. Me giving you physical gifts, necklaces, things like that. They will give you physical stuff, but it lacks the love for narcissists, like the love in a narcissistic relationship goes downhill, and it lacks the emotional connection a lot of times. You still have the emotional connection, but the narcissistic person seems to have emotionally checked out. But they physically check in. They'll give you physical gifts. They'll give you a necklace, a watch, a ring, some socks, a tie, whatever. They'll give you the physical stuff. It's just that, like, the emotional part is reeled in. The emotional part it does get reeled in. The emotional part sucks back in. You know what I mean? They don't do the emotional stuff anymore. They just do the physical stuff. As I tell people, like, y'all, let me be real with you. It doesn't go back to the emotional lovey-dovey stuff if you're dealing with a real narcissistic person. It just doesn't, y'all. It doesn't go back to that, because it's weird now, because that's not their. It'll be forced. It'll be fake. That's not their natural state. Their natural state is the physical stuff, like physical presence. Physical presence means that I love you. Me giving you me marrying you shows you that I love you. Me living with you shows you that I love you. Physical stuff, like the emotional stuff, like I said, goes out the door. You don't get that emotional connection anymore. That emotional stuff ends, and then you still have, only thing left is the physical stuff. You see what I'm saying? So you have to choose whether or not you actually want to deal with this dynamic for an extended period of time, because it doesn't go back to that lovey-dovey stuff, y'all. And if you try to bring up the lovey-dovey stuff, they might get vicious with you. I'm not saying that they'll physically attack you, but they very well might get vicious with you. They might get very angry and mean as hell with you. You know what I mean? That's how it goes a lot of times when you're dealing with narcissistic, toxic people. Like, they very well might get vicious with you. And once they get vicious with you, they're gonna realize. Once they get vicious with you, they coming for you. And that's typically how it goes, y'all. And that's not me saying, like, and the fuse for them gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Like, you try to hug and kiss them, and they'll push you away. Yeah, what are you doing? I'm just give me some space. They'll start asking for space. You know what I mean? They'll be physically with you in a relationship, but they'll ask you for space within the relationship where they don't do the emotional stuff anymore, y'all. So if you can live like that, then cool. I'm not here to judge you, but sometimes, you know what I mean? And if you can't live like, and sometimes if you want them to change, you try to force them to change, they'll offer you the door, just like in that skit. Just like in the skit I did. If you don't like it here, you can leave. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is the love I'm going to be showing you from this point forward. If you don't like it here, if you're not happy here, you have the ability to pack your stuff up and dip out the door. You just absolutely do. You see what I'm saying? You just absolutely do. You don't have to be here. And they'll do that. Like I said, they'll treat you that way. They'll tell you they'll tell you that you don't have to be here. So it's up to you whether or not that you want to stay in this relationship dynamic or move forward. The choice is 1000% up to you. But anyway, y'all, let me cut this thing short. I have some Zoom calls to do. I still do my one-on-ones over Zoom and things like that. So the link is in the description.
love because it may be the only connection we've experienced. And I think we can all agree that love is often talked about in a way that's not real or relatable, which is why we can find ourselves in relationships with people and not realize that what we're feeling isn't love. It's actually trauma bonding. My name is Katie Morton. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I talk about anxiety, ADHD, eating disorders, and really anything mental health related. So if you'd like to subscribe, we would love to have you. I promise you'll always leave with some helpful information for you or for someone that you love. And subscribing really helps creators keep doing what we do. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. Trauma bonding is an unhealthy attachment that we can form with our abuser. This usually happens in toxic or abusive relationships, but it can also happen in families, at church, with friends. It most commonly occurs when the relationship we are in follows what's known as a cycle of abuse, meaning that when someone harms us physically, sexually, or emotionally, then, so that's the abuse state, then we move into the next stage, which is called the honeymoon phase. And that's kind of like love bombing. They tell us they love us. They're so sorry. They never meant to hurt us. It won't happen again. They would die without us, and go on and on and on. And this love bombing and manipulation can confuse the person who was abused. And it can make us think that they really didn't mean to hurt us and they do love us. Now, over time, this cycle of getting hurt and then being told that they love and care for us can lead to us becoming attached to our abuser, even feeling bad for them and feeling deep affection for them, which is why it can be so hard for us to leave. We can also trauma bond as a way to prevent any further abuse from happening to us, just like the fawn response, which, if you're not familiar, is another form of fight, flight, and freeze. But fawning is when we people please so that they won't hurt us again. And it's really our attempt at taking control back from our abuser in order to protect ourselves. Since trauma bonding can often be confused with love, let's jump into the 5 signs that what we're experiencing is in fact trauma bonding and not love. Number 1, we are enmeshed, meaning that there aren't any healthy boundaries in our relationship. How they feel is how we feel. And we can find ourselves putting their needs above our own and needing them to make decisions for us, or at least weighing in on them. We can even struggle to do things on our own, see our own friends, and focus on our own personal growth. Number 2 is if they have ever abused us. Physically, sexually, emotionally, even if they said it wouldn't happen again or gave excuses for why they did it. I was really tired, I had a bad day. Healthy relationships have mutual respect and are physically and emotionally safe. If you don't have those things in your relationship, you may want to consider ending that relationship. Number 3, we are codependent. Now, codependency happens a lot in relationships where addiction is present because one person is the addict and the other person is addicted to caring for them. In this case, we can feel that our only purpose or the only way that we are deserving of love is if we care for the other person, even when it puts us in danger. We can feel like our only value is in being the caretaker or the fixer, and this can allow the person to keep doing what they do. When it comes to trauma bonds specifically, we can want the relationship to continue at any cost because our identity can be wrapped up in them. Or we can think so little of ourselves that we believe we aren't anything without them. And so we do what we need to do to keep them happy. Number 4, they don't like us seeing our friends or family. If someone ever tries to tell you that your friends or family are bad for you, they don't deserve you, or they act upset when you make time to see them, get out of there. Sure, I know we can have one friend or a family member that isn't the best, or maybe they've said hurtful things. We should never feel like we can't have our own life and see people on our own. A huge component of narcissistic abuse is that they try to isolate us from everyone else so that they have complete control and we don't have a way out. You should feel free to have your own life and you just enjoy having them in it. And finally, number 5 is gaslighting. Does your partner constantly tell you that you remembered something wrong or that you're crazy? That's not how it happened. Or do they deny or try to minimize the pain that they've caused you? Or maybe they even try to tell you that it was your fault. This is a form of manipulation. It can cause us to attach even more tightly to our abuser because we don't think we can trust our own mind or memory. We can all forget things from time to time, sure. But if they are consistently putting us down, telling us that we're making things up, it's possible you're being gaslit. I know it can be hard to know what love looks like, especially if we've been in an abusive relationship or have past trauma. But remember, loving relationships allow us to be ourselves, have our own life, and enjoy the addition of another person in it. It is supportive, respectful, and encourages us to do more of what we love. Healthy relationships have clear boundaries, open communication, and trust. If we only get affection and kind words after we've been hurt, you may want to rethink your relationship because it could be trauma bonding, not love. If any of this sounds like your relationship, please find a trauma therapist in your area or online. The sooner we start talking to someone about this, the sooner we will feel able to leave and heal from the abuse. Know that you are all deserving of real love and support, and don't settle for less.
We have been talking about domestic violence all morning here on NBC4 today. The number of cases, it is actually the leading cause of arrest here in Franklin County. A lot of people abused don't even realize they have been. One survivor telling me the abuse not always physical.
It's not what I was taught. You know, it's not what I've grown up knowing abuse was.
Marika Phipps was in a relationship for 8 years. At first, it just seemed dysfunctional, but looking back, it was so much worse.
I thought abuse was, you know, black eyes and swollen lips. I had no idea that it was damaging a person's character, that it was, you know, demeaning you, that it was making you feel worthless.
2 years in, the physical abuse started.
After the first physical assault, I endured hemorrhaging, brain hemorrhaging, was unconscious, and it was a long journey back, but I took him back right after that.
They stayed together 5.5 more years when finally Marika made a run for it.
Torn all my clothes off and everything, so I left with nothing on my back in the snow and fled to their house. And just by the grace of God, the door happened to be open and they were there.
She believes it's the reason she's still here today. Marika is one of the lucky ones. According to Ohio Domestic Violence Network, more than 100 people died due to domestic violence between the summer of 2015 and 2016.
I think more startling than that, at least to me, was that in 25% of those cases, a child was present. So 25% of these cases, a child watched one of their parents be killed.
The executive director of Choices, an organization providing help to victims, says police call their hotline over 150 times a month because they believe a victim is in danger of being killed. While Marika is free of her abuser, the healing process remains, and she has hope for others to find help.
It's going to click for our women to learn how to respect themselves and to know their worth. It's going to click for the boys to learn to respect women and to respect themselves. And I hope and I pray that at some point, some generation is going to get it. But it's up to us right now as parents to break that cycle.
Which brings us to the teaching the rules of respect. Some say that it's not just common sense anymore, and one man through his nonprofit organization is trying to do that. Extraordinary Gentleman teaches boys ages 5 through 17 about what it means to respect themselves and others. Brian Rogers shared Marika Phipps' story with his boys so that they would never treat a woman the way that she's been treated.
We feel if you're exposing our kids to these particular things at a young age, it could particularly save a life. They would know how to operate if it did happen to mom or dad.
Just spreading awareness. Marika and Extraordinary Gentleman will be speaking today at 1 o'clock at the Police Academy, sharing stories, giving tips on how to talk to your children about domestic violence and how to find help, and also just teaching respect for one another. You can get tickets at the door, and all proceeds go towards the nonprofit Battered, Not Broken.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cluster B Milkshake. I am your host, along with the flip fiber, Mr. Chicken. Yes, support puppet. Yeah. Today, we are going to talk about trauma bonding. And I know that I have gone over this before, just the cycle of trauma bondage. And today, we are going to talk about the re-traumatization from childhood. I was watching Sam Vaknin, of course, and he was talking about how your toxic person re-traumatizes your unresolved childhood trauma. Now, I've been saying this for fucking ever. I did make a video on complex trauma, CPTSD, and talks about how you became traumatized in childhood and you are filled with a fuck ton of shame. Okay? And this is how you became codependent or narcissistic. Now, your toxic person becomes a parental figure role in your life. Okay? They become the perfect parent that you did not have. They are attentive, validating, understanding. They give you unconditional love. This is the love bombing stage and the grooming stage. Okay, they're listening to all your shit. They're listening to what you like and dislike and everything that you've gone through, you know, throughout your life and what's been happening up until this point. And they're very attentive and listening and caring and give a fuck. Yes, this is what's happening to you. Now, you have the perfect parent that you did not have. This is what, you know, your fantasy. This is your fantasy. Then we become the parental unit from your past, which is the selfish, the immature, the one that's withholding the love, the affection, the attention. We are the insecure and the aggressively rejecting parent. This is what happens. This is how the trauma bond is created, because the pendulum starts to swing from the good to the bad. You're good, you're bad. And how can you abandon your parent? You want the good parent back. This is what you want. I want everything that I did not have. And even though that we gave that to you because of our own needs of wanting you in our life for our own selfish needs, this is what you want back. You say, I want the love bomb. No, you want the good parent. That is what you want. You want what you did not have. Now, you say, I was tricked. How can I trick you into having childhood trauma? I can't trick you into having childhood trauma. I have tried to love bomb and groom healthy people. They won't let me. They will not let me. They will not let me cross their boundaries. They will fucking realize that this is weird. This is moving fast. I'm not perfect. Why are you fucking, right? Right. It's weird when you fucking look at it, from the outside later. But yes, they will not take the bait. But you took the bait. You, because you wanted that perfect parental figure, the perfect person who's going to fill that fucking hole in your heart. And we gave that to you. And then, of course, we fuck it up. And of course, on my other videos, explain why I'm fucked up. But we're talking about you now, aren't we? So when you see these TikTok videos or anything across the internet saying that we target you because you're love and light, no. Because if you were full of love and light, you would not let any dark creep in there. Okay? Hope that was helpful. Have a nice day. Namaste.
Okay, y'all, that's it. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you all so much. See you all tomorrow. I love you. Good night. Bye.